I think that's the question here is, does the city council think that it's okay for them just to ignore the Fair Campaign Practices Act? So, or do you want to tell them, hey, you can't do this? You know, now whether they comply or not, I think is a different matter, but that's on them. What's on you is if you're made aware of this situation and you just turn a blind eye towards it and say, well, okay, so we can't do anything about it, so we're not going to do anything. And Mr. Kakos is right. This is just made up out of whole cloth. The ads that are running now are paid for by Pueblo Cares Issue Committee. Those are exactly the same ads that ran before Pueblo Cares Issue Committee was ever formed, you know, except that they've changed the tagline on who's paid for the ad now. But it's the same ad that Pueblo Cares did. And for them to say that they are not an issue committee is, you know, I think it's insulting. I really think it's insulting that they don't think they have to disclose where they got that $700,000. And if you don't think that matters, I'd be hard-pressed to identify any single election in the history of the city of Pueblo where that kind of money was put in. And to say that it's dark money and we're not going to say where it came from, I think is just sets a very, very, very bad precedent for this community.
Well, I want to make a couple of comments here. It's no surprise that there's many of us on the city council that are against municipalization. I want to know why this came up, you know, out of thin air, and I see the writing on the wall that what you want to do is that you want to print people's names and show what bad people they are for donating for the, you know, Black Hills. What did we expect Black Hills to do? We expected them to fight tooth and nail to keep their 10-year contract. I haven't seen any compelling right or wrong on this thing. You know, I mean, you sent a letter that you guys drafted. They responded to it. So I don't understand why we can't wait to see what the resolution is. It sounds almost like you want us to sanction an ad showing that these people are, the Black Hills Committee is bad people, and that they're doing something nefarious. I don't see it. I see them trying to save their jobs, you know, trying to save their contract here. We can't go to court on this thing because the court is shut down, but somebody's going to have to decide whether what they're doing is legal or not.
Well, and each of you will have to decide whether you think it's okay to put $700,000 into a municipal election campaign without saying where that money came from.
They're not a candidate committee. They're some other kind of committee. So it's going to be different than you or I running for city council. I think that you're using the city council as a platform for your agenda, your politics, and I think it's wrong.
There's a policy question here. And is it the policy of city council that outsiders, without disclosing their names, can dump $700,000 into a municipal election? If council says that's okay, well, that's fine. But it's going to create a precedent.
How did they file their committee name? I mean, it's not a candidate name. It's some other committee. I don't have that form in front of me, but I don't agree with you.
It's an issue committee. And issue committees are required to register and to report their contributions. And the Pueblo Cares Committee says we're not an issue committee. We're not going to register. We're not going to disclose where the $700,000 came from that we gave to the Pueblo Cares Issue Committee, which did register. They did register, and they have filed their reports, and their reports say they got $700,000 from Pueblo Cares, which was formed in November of 2019, as Mr. Kagosik said. So they've been very successful in that short period of time gathering money.
All we're doing with this is urging them to do it. There's no teeth in it. We can't make them do anything. All we can do is urge them to do it. So we're doing this for nothing.
Councilman Atencio said two things. The resolution urges, just like you said, Pueblo Cares to comply with the Fair Campaign Practices Act. We urge them to comply. And why do we do that as a council? We do that as a council because we believe in right and wrong. we have a duty to uphold the law. We are a legislative body. We have in place in the municipal code of the city of Pueblo and in our charter that elections that you have to comply with the Fair Campaigns Practices Act. They clearly, based upon legal opinion, are not complying with that. As a city council, we recognize that this is not right. And all we're asking is to do the right thing. Pueblo Cares, do the right thing. Do what any of us would have to do if we were running for office. We're asking you to do the same thing that Bring Pueblo Home or Bring Power Home has done. They followed the letter of the law. They filed their names. It's accessible to anybody in the city. This is what's right or wrong. And to not support this resolution is saying exactly what the mayor said earlier. We're condoning and setting a precedence in the future of saying, yeah, here's a way around campaign law. Here's a way to take this dark money in your campaign and not have to report it. And it's okay with city council. They're okay with that. It's no big deal. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And there's no way that you could look at that and think that it was right.
By rejecting this resolution, we aren't ever overlooking anything because we aren't the decision makers. And you're asking us to be a decision maker on non-compliance when we're not. All we're doing is urging, and I see no value in urging anybody to do anything. I just don't understand why we are now becoming an advertisement, I guess, for the other side. I can't understand that at all.
Exactly. You're just using us in your politics, Nick. I mean, this is inappropriate.
Do you have anything to add, Councilman Brown?
I just want to know what Black Hills is hiding if they won't say where the money's coming from. That's my...
Number one, our Mr. Kogosic said that we don't know whether it's Black Hills that put up the money or not. We don't know that. Just like we don't know how many employees of San Isabel are contributing to the other side because they want the contract to do the...
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting
That's where I
that a
would
couple
wanna
months
go.
ago that this city council sent a resolution to the governor of the state of Colorado urging him to keep Francis Concelia on with the PUC. Nobody saw any problem with us urging the governor to do something. But all of a sudden, when it comes to black and white law, election law, we have a problem with urging somebody to comply with the laws of our city.
It's not as black and white as you say. Mr. Kogosic says he's got his opinion. That other lawyer has their opinion. My point is that those two opinions would go to a district judge, and the district judge would decide who was correct. I'm not disputing that Mr. Kogosic is wrong. Is right or wrong. I'm just saying that we shouldn't be making the decision.
I think someone has called for the question.
Ray Aguilera,
Yes.